Join Christ followers from across the region in giving blood or plasma this Easter week through the Easter Blood Drive. It's April 1st to 8th, and I am joined by two ladies with Canadian Blood Services, Jennifer Rose, who is the Community Development Manager for Whole Blood in Ottawa, and Marie-Noëlle Côté, who is the Business Development Manager for the Ottawa Plasma Lifeline. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So when we say that there is an urgent need for blood donations in the region, Jennifer, can you paint a picture of really what that means?
So right now, we currently are not saying that we're in urgent need, but we're always in need. So if that makes sense, just because we're not in an urgent or critical situation right now doesn't mean that the need stops. It's always an ongoing need for blood and plasma. Patients are always requiring it for treatments and to make sure that they're well. But we did see a decrease of about 31,000 donors during the pandemic over the last few years. And so we're relying on a much smaller donor base than we have in over a decade. So it's really important that we get people to come back. I'm speaking for whole blood right now. Marie-Noëlle can speak more to the plasma side. But, I think people sort of fell out of the habit, which is common, with human nature. We were staying in and we were staying safe, and we're just trying to remind people that they need to get back into the habit, or that we're hoping they will get back into the habit of coming in to donate.
Yeah. What are some of the misconceptions or the obstacles for people who are donating?
It's a good question, but I'm not too sure even how to answer it. I think sometimes misconception is not understanding the process or understanding the lifeline and needing some more information.
Yeah.
Again, if you look at science and technology, it's continuously evolving and changing, and we're getting so forward with our, with the science. Someone that's been told that they can't donate 5 years ago, 2 years ago, or even a year ago could potentially be able to donate now. So the rules and engagements and our science is evolving positively. Someone that couldn't donate before can potentially donate now. So always look at the 1-888 to donate and look at eligibility, as this can change overnight.
That's good. And I know we've even had some listeners reach out to us with some concerns or some fears. They don't like needles. They're worried about how they're going to feel afterwards, that kind of thing. Do you want to debunk any fears? Is there anything that you've heard and you're like, oh, it's not a big deal at all. You'll be fine. Like maybe Jennifer, you probably see a lot of people that come in nervous. What would you say?
I was going to say that's probably the number one reason that people don't donate, is because they're afraid of needles, which is a very valid thing, but it doesn't really feel much different than a blood test. So if you have ever gone to the hospital or the doctor and had to have a blood test, I think the idea of it is probably more scary than the actual act itself. And when it's over, you're sort of, like that was okay. But there are people who legitimately have a phobia or a fear. And, for those people, maybe there's another way they can support. So, they can volunteer, they can help recruit other donors. Maybe they want to drive people in, or even help them book, electronically if it's somebody that maybe isn't as technically savvy. So there's lots of ways that you can help. But our staff is fantastic. So even if you're a little bit nervous, the best thing I could do is say, just come in and let them know, I'm nervous, I'm a little bit scared, and they will, help you through it and walk you through it and hold your hand. And they're just really good that way. And they hear it all the time. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, they have little tricks and tips.
And
Okay,
just to add to that, if you think of the recipient, if you look at the both side of the story, we're doing this donation for a recipient. That recipient is that 4-year-old, child at Children's Hospital, and that receives how many needles a day, or injections, or treatment. So if we look at the overall picture, that moment of courage, I turn the other way. I'm always like, we all have that feeling, but the donation is so important that it overcomes the fear, because we know who's our recipient and who's taking in the donation and why we're doing it.
I love that. Okay, Marie-Noëlle, I want to hand the kind of the mic over to you to talk about plasma. What is plasma? It might be a new word for some people, and who is eligible to donate?
Oh, and plasma is new. It's a new lifeline to Canada and to Canadian Blood Services. It's actually one of the fastest growing lifeline globally in the world because the need is so important. Plasma is actually a 50% of your blood. So it's just like giving a blood donation. There's a protein that we find inside your plasma, and that protein, it can only be found in humans into your plasma, and it is utilized to create a medication called IG. And that medication helps so many different, disorders. Cancer patient that receives chemo receives plasma. Newborn babies receives plasma. People with kidney functions, burn victim, and the list goes on. It's probably one of the fastest recovery drug. And even if you've walked through an emergency room, they're not sure what you have. You've had a terrible incident. They will give you plasma and blood. And this is why often we get asked, what's the need? Is it more towards plasma? Is it more towards blood? But the need is for both, because both are used so differently. And plasma is that, we call it the recovery drug that's going to really help build your immune system. And technically, plasma is part of your blood.
So how often can someone donate? I know you each have an answer to that.
So since we're on plasma, a man can donate every 7 days and a woman can donate every 14 days.
And for whole blood, it's a little bit different because the red blood cells actually take longer to regenerate. So there's a longer space in between donations. So for men, it's every 56 days, about 2 months. And women, it's every 84 days, so about 3 months in between.
We've actually heard from some listeners, too, who have said, I wish I could participate in the blood drive for Easter, but it won't line up with my next available eligibility time, which is great because that means they're already donors.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. Do either of you have a story maybe of a donor who gives really often that you could share?
I'll go. We have a donor, John. John comes every Monday. He actually celebrated with us his 500th donation.
Wow.
He started when he was 18 in the Army, and he actually met his wife at Canadian Blood Services. She was his nurse who took his first donation. Unfortunately, she's passed away, and he carries on now. He went from blood to platelets to plasma as she unfortunately passed away from cancer, and he wants to support the organization that their family had involved into their life. And I think he's just one of those amazing, amazing donors that have become family because we see each other every week.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because that means the community that we're encouraging to come and sign up and donate could become someone who can give regularly because you do feel like you're part of something so much bigger than yourself. And I think that's really cool. Jennifer, from your experience as the community development manager, what are some benefits of campaigns like this one, the Easter Blood Drive, coming together with like-minded people? What kind of benefit does that have?
So really it has a huge benefit. So it's that ripple effect, right? The more we can get the word out, the more people we have talking about the importance of blood and plasma donation, the more people that we have coming in to donate. So groups like this will reach, young people that are just turning 17. So they've just reached the eligibility age to come in and donate, right up to somebody in their 80s, maybe that's been donating, but reminding them to come back. So it's really important to get the word out, and potentially maybe there may even be people in your listenership or in your group that, have a company or belong to another group that may want to organize their group to come in and do the same thing down the road. So it really is just introducing all of the ways that people can support patients.
Yeah. Okay, well, as we wrap up, I want to ask if there's some advice that you would each give to someone who does feel nervous or reluctant about giving blood or plasma. What would you say to kind of motivate them to move forward as we wrap up?
I would say come in a center, come say hi, take a look. Sometimes when we take in the view, we kind of register it and then we prepare ourselves for the next step. Again, think about the recipient. The need is immediate. The call to action is now. We're looking for the plasma and blood donation because the recipient is our neighbor. It's Lincoln. He's a young man who suffers from an autoimmune disease that lives right here in Orleans in our community. And that's what we're doing it for. We're for the community, in the community, right here in Ottawa.
Yeah. Jennifer, anything new to add?
That's right. Well, I was going to say that really is what it boils down to, right? Is the people that we're helping, the community that we're helping. And I know, sometimes we're a little bit removed from that patient, but if somebody were in front of you saying, all I need is an hour of your time to save my child or to save my grandmother or, to prolong their life or give them health, I think people wouldn't hesitate. They would be there. Ottawa's an incredible community. So it's just remembering that really is ultimately what we're doing.
Awesome. Really you're the hero. You're being a hero here. And
Exactly.
It really is, as the slogan says, it's in you to give. And I think education really is the big important thing here we're hearing about. And we want to encourage you to just get to know the information. It makes us feel so much more confident when we know what to expect. You can go to the Love Ottawa and CHRI Easter Blood Drive on the website blooddrive.loveottawa.ca. Register with Canadian Blood Services if you're not an existing donor, then book an appointment sometime between April 1st and 8th at either the Carling Avenue Blood Donation Center or the new Plasma Center on Place d'Orleans Boulevard. The CHRI Fund team is going to be hanging out at the Carling location on the 8th, and there is a health eligibility quiz on the website. You're going to get all the information you need once you book your appointment, so just take that first step. Book now. Thank you, Jennifer and Marie-Nicole. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.